Now, no doubt every single one of us will have our own idea about what anxiety means to us. But put simply, anxiety is the emotion that tells us when something is too important to simply lose focus of. It's the voice of concern about an upcoming event or situation that refuses to be ignored. It's the crew saying to the captain, "You need to pay attention to this." Now, here's the important part. Your crew are operating on one very simple principle. They're trying to find the best strategy for the most happiness. Yes, safety is important. After all, safety is a huge component part of happiness. We can't feel happy if we don't feel safe. But ultimately, at all times, your crew are trying to steer you in the direction of happiness. As the American author John Shedd once wrote, "A ship in harbour is safe, but that is not what ships are built for." So even when your crew are making you feel awful, telling you things about yourself you really don't want to hear, those seemingly self-destructive thoughts, "I'm not good enough, I'll never succeed, I'm unlovable," even these harsh words are simply designed to steer you away from any situation that might lead to an unhappy experience. They're not trying to sink the ship, they're just trying to sail it away from the stormy seas that we fear we might not be able to cope with. But every decision your crew makes is based upon the things you've learnt throughout your life. And because many of these things were learnt when you were very young, some of them no longer apply. Some of them were just wrong in the first place. What this means is that as far as anxiety is concerned, your crew will very often make mistakes. But just because they get things wrong doesn't make them the enemy. And yet, this is a sentiment I hear all the time. Anxiety is the enemy. People want to throw those crew members overboard. And I can understand that. After all, if we regard a part of our mind as now actively trying to destroy us, then of course it would be easy to view it as the enemy. If we then believe our mind has actually turned against us, it'd be easy to conclude our mind is broken. It'd be easy to believe that person that told us the way you feel means you are ill. I started this talk by telling you I used to suffer debilitating levels of social anxiety. So how did I get control of that? What did I actually do to reduce it? There are three main things I did that I think helped me change. First thing I did, I refused to believe I was ill. Of all the things I felt anxious about, I decided not to feel anxious about feeling anxious. I recognised that every time I felt anxiety, it wasn't random. It was always triggered by a situation or a thought process. Once I understood this, I could do the second thing. That's to listen to my crew. I'd spent too long pushing them away, trying to ignore what they were telling me. When you ignore someone with an important message, they might just start to speak louder to get heard. If you continue to ignore them, they might start to shout. The only way I was going to stop anxiety from shouting at me was to listen to it, to hear what it was saying to me. I sought to understand what my crew were trying to achieve with these feelings and to turn my enemies into my friends. Now, the funny thing is, when you start listening to what your mind's trying to tell you, it can stop shouting. When the crew stops shouting, the captain can be heard. That's the point where your more logical thinking gets to have some input. You get to decide, is this feeling appropriate or inappropriate? Is it helpful or unhelpful? Once you have the ear of your crew and you know what you would want from them, the third thing, maybe the most important thing, is to always, always be kind to them. If you're anything like me, you spent a large part of your life beating yourself up over the things you did wrong, or the things you didn't quite do right, or just about the way you feel. For all the criticism and negativity you've received from others throughout your life, the person who's given you the most is probably you. This has the cumulative effect of destroying morale aboard your ship. A demoralised crew equals low self-esteem. And low self-esteem means now the slightest challenge will create anxiety. But the good news is you can repair the damage that's been done very easily, simply by deciding from now on to always talk to your crew, to yourself, with kindness and positivity. People do their best work when they feel empowered to achieve. Your crew are no different. Put simply, if you beat yourself up, you just end up beat. If you build yourself up, who knows how far we can reach? This is why I think it's okay, maybe even important, to feel anxiety every single day of our lives. It means the crew are still sailing the ship and still trying to get it in the right direction. It's the part of you that makes you reread the important email before you send it. It's the part that makes sure you check your keys are in your pocket before you slam the front door on your way out in the morning. And it's the part that makes your heart skip a little bit when you think about giving that important presentation at work or in a theatre. Truth is, I still feel anxious all the time. For example, every Friday morning I wake feeling anxious because Friday is dustbin day. My crew wake me with the thought I need to go and take the bins out. Now, it's not debilitating anxiety. It's barely a whisper. It's just loud enough to get heard, and then when I've taken the bins out, it's gone. And this might seem like a really trivial example, but this is exactly the sort of thing that will trouble us if we believe the way we feel is not normal. I wonder if back in the day when I'd suffered high levels of anxiety, if I'd been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, would I now dread Friday mornings? Would I feel anxious about the prospect of my anxiety flaring up again? Would I curse myself for still not being free of anxiety? There tend to be two popular positions on high anxiety. The first states it's a mental illness. It's the way you're wired. There's little we can do about it. The second states it's not real. It's all in your head. You just need to get over it. Neither of these positions are helpful, and both are wrong. The last 10 years have taught me the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Of course it's real. We don't ask to feel this way, and yet we do. Yet even though we feel this way now, doesn't mean we can't change it. The first step towards changing it is to accept it. Once we accept anxiety as a natural part of our human experience and treat it not as our enemy, but as a trusted friend, you'll be surprised how quickly the crew just get back to sailing the ship, and we start to feel a lot less anxious about anxiety. So, how do you feel today? Do you feel anxious about something? Good. That means you're alive. It means there's a part of you trying to tell you something it regards as important. Have a listen. It's here to help. My name is Tim Box, and now, 18 minutes later, I feel a lot less anxious. Thank you very much.